What's up, fam? Hey, man, look, I'm gonna tell y'all a little story, right? My day didn't start off too well, but at the end of the day, when I look back at how my day started, I said, you know what? I think this worked out for the better. So I'm gonna tell y'all this little story, right? And I'm gonna sit here and smoke this stogie. So today, I had a doctor's appointment, right? It was today at noon. Today is Saturday. So Saturday at noon, I had a doctor's appointment. But on the way out, there was a truck stop in the road, transmission slip. So I couldn't get out. So I called the doctor to explain the situation, that I wasn't going to be able to make it on time. If she wanted to reschedule, no problem, right? But let's go back. I got to set the story up, right? I got to give y'all the backstory in order to put today in proper context. So, about a couple of years ago, I had this really cool doctor down at the VA. Good doctors at the VA, very hard to come by, but I had one, very good one. So, I go to my doctor's appointment, walk in the office. It's not my regular doctor, it's somebody new, right? So, I'm looking at this lady. Am I in the right office? It's like, oh yeah, Dr. So-and-so took another position. He's gone, so I'll be your new PCM. So I'm like, okay, red flag number one. The lady, the doctor, I'm in the doctor's office. She's behind her little desk on the computer, but she's sitting with her back to me the entire time on the computer. Whole time. So I'm trying to like make small talk, exchange pleasantries. The lady don't move. She don't make no eye contact. Whole time on the computer. I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. So she's like, what brings you in today? So I explained to her I'm having some pain in my foot and some numbness and tingling, and I couldn't feel part of my foot, right? So she's like, oh, do you know that black men are predisposed to diabetes? And you're probably a diabetic, so I'm going to schedule you for an A1C test. And I'm thinking, ma'am, if you review my medical record, you would see that I messed my foot up on a patrol in Iraq, and it has absolutely nothing to do with diabetes. I'm not a diabetic. She's like, oh. So, okay. Fast forward, I go back and see her a second time. This time, I got some tingling in my arm. So I went out to play golf one time with my man, Pretty Ricky. And I'm setting up on the ball, right? Adjusting my grip, and my fingers go numb. So I ain't got no feeling in my hand, right? So on back when I was flying, had a hard landing, coming in hot, way too hot, knew it was hot, couldn't slow it down, and I had my arm like jammed up on the canopy trying to do my thing and brace for impact, right? Boof! Plane hit, we porpoise, and my arm goes numb, like whole thing, right? So boom, we out of the aircraft. I go to see the flight surgeon. Some kind of bone that runs along your elbow. The impact pressed my elbow into the nerve. Something happened. Now my whole arm numb. I'm numb for like a week. I go to physical therapy. I get my little SIQ or whatever. They run some tests. I get the feeling back. Fast forward 20 years, every once in a while, my arm would just go numb, right? So, you know, I'll be in the club like, what's up, shorty? Arm numb. But eventually, it'll come and go. So I go to the doc, gets to get it documented, and she was like, oh, man, you got tingling in your arm and your fingers tingling too? You're definitely a diabetic. We're going to schedule you for an A1C test. Ma'am, once again, if you review my medical record, I got injured on not a crash, but a hard landing. All my aviators know that's a key distinction. It was a hard landing. I've had this problem for years. Oh. Fast forward again. One time I go see the doctor after work. And I'm dressed. You know, Keith Major can't look like no slouch. You gotta look like you belong to somebody. So I'm dressed from work. I go to the doctor. This lady's looking me up and down. Boom, 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 boom. Up and down. I'm telling her what's wrong. She not really even paying attention. This lady says, wow, you're dressed like you have a lot of education. Excuse me? I don't really think that's a compliment, ma'am. This is what the doctor says to me. I'm dressed like I have a lot of education. So I'm like, okay, ain't got no good feeling about this, right? So I leave the doctor's office and I call up my man, Ed Poindexter, your neighborhood medical professional, right? Shout out to the Hampton Nursing Department. Big ups to GE. So I say, Sands, here's what happened to me at this interaction with the doctor. I don't have no good feeling. I don't know what to do. What should I do? And Ed is like, cancel that chick. It's like, you sure? Bruh, cancel that chick. Her diagnoses should be based on, you know, like the medical information she collects and yada yada, and not these presumptions of whatever, boom, boom. Bruh, cancel the chick. So I'm like, okay. I don't want no trouble. You know, I don't even feel like the hassle. So I come back home and I tell my mom. I call my mama. Tell my mama the same thing I told Ed, right? And I'm telling my mom the story. And then I get to the part where I said, Ma, do you know this lady told me, wow, you're dressed like you have a lot of education. And my mama said, cancel that chick. I was like, So right then, you know, when Mama Duke said that, boom, she's canceled. I call the VA, tell them what happened. Boom, I need another PCM. I'm not going back to that chick. I'll die before I go back to that chick, right? And y'all know my mama is the church lady. So if my mama say cancel somebody, cancel. So one of the points I picked up through small talk, this is pertinent to the story, this lady said, man, where you from? She says, Lake Oconee, Georgia. So I play a country dumb. I'm listening to her explain to me where Lake Oconee is. I know exactly where Lake Oconee is because I used to live in Athens. Athens to Lake Oconee is like right there, yo. But there's only two types of people that live in Lake Oconee. Rich people with a lot of money hiding out from civilization, or not so rich people trying to get into trouble, or some combination of them two. So remember when Ben Roethlisberger raped them little girls in that bathroom at that club? It was in Lake Oconee. So when the story broke on the news and I saw what club it was, I said, oh, he did it. He guilty. I know exactly where he was. It wasn't no reason for Ben Roethlisberger to be where he was at. So for those of you who aren't from Georgia, let me put it this way. There are a lot of NASCAR drivers and NASCAR fans in Lake Oconee. You're probably not going to find any Stay Soft Fro or Ultra Sheen on the shelves of any stores in Lake Oconee. And if you're looking for chicken, they got Panera Bread Company, of course Chick-fil-A, and they even got a Boston Market. But if you're looking for Popeyes or Churches, you got to drive back to Athens where I was at, and the Churches is right down the strip mall from the Sally's Beauty Supply. Just to put that in context. So all that to say, I did not have a very good feeling with this lady, right? And so boom, she's canceled. Fast forward, I called the doctor. I'm getting mad negative energy. It's like, wow. And I thought I had called in enough time where maybe she could have rescheduled me today or maybe she could reschedule me for another day, but it was something about the attitude and her tone and her spirit. And let me tell you how serious this was. I have a tendency to walk around with the phone like this. I don't know if anybody else does that. I walk around with the phone like in my hand like this, with the phone on speaker, and I talk to the phone like this. So my wife walks in the room and she's like, "Is that the doctor?" I was like, "Yeah." So she doesn't say anything. I finished the phone call. "Okay, ma'am, no problem. I'll call back to the VSC or whatever it is, and I'll talk to them about scheduling another appointment. Sorry for the inconvenience, yada yada." So I hang up, and Paula says, "You gonna cancel, ain't you?" I said, "Yep." "And you gonna call them and tell them you don't want to go see that lady, ain't you?" I said, "Yep." And Paula said, "I thought so. That probably worked out for the better." And then she walks out, right? I said, So this interaction with this doctor took me back to the last interaction with the last doctor, and I just didn't have a very good feeling. So I said, "Nah, you know what? That truck that was stopped in the road was a good thing because it kept me from going to the medical appointment I probably didn't need to be at in the first place." So this is my testimony, brothers and sisters. Look at that bug all in my video, right? So this is my testimony, right? Sometimes in life, bad things happen, but you know, we quick to say, "Hey man, that ain't nothing but the devil. The devil really out here today, man. Devil got a hold of me." In reality, sometimes it ain't the devil. Sometimes that's God. Sometimes God puts obstacles in your path to keep you on the right path, to keep you from going into calamity. So maybe I'm getting mature, maybe I'm older, but now it's the end of the day, and I'm thinking back to what happened. I had to help my man push his truck, blocking the road. I couldn't get out, and had a little conversation with him, and I'm thinking, was that really a bad thing or a good thing? Because I wound up not going to a doctor's appointment that I didn't feel comfortable about. But at the time, when I rolled up on dude with his truck stop, I was like, "Oh, man." But now at the end of the day, I'm thinking, let me really think about this, right? Because the Bible says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding." So sometimes when you say that ain't nothing but the devil, think about it, pause and consider, maybe 2 or 3 times, and you might realize that in reality, that obstacle in your path is really God's way of saying, "Hey, yo, that way." So what I thought was a bad thing really turned into a good thing. So instead of spending all my day mad at the doctor, I'm sitting here puffing on this stogie, and I'm going to live to fight another day. So brothers and sisters, holla at your boy. Hashtag church credit. Hashtag ghetto sermons. I'll see y'all. Hey man, if it don't feel right, keep it moving. Especially with these doctors, man. Holla at your boy.